I fear this video is not something I can fit into a minute-long short, so it won't get as much view time, but that is fine. It's about how I feel Africa broadly and Zambia in particular challenges my Western individualism. There are many things here that I'm shocked by. A lot of people say that they're for supporting Africa, but I find a lot of what people value here is so different to what people value in the West that it's very hard to think that a Western person truly values African people, given how opposed most Western ideologies are to a lot of African ideologies. And the biggest contrast I've seen is in individualism. In the West, as far as I can tell, the supreme value is pursue your own desires, as long as they don't come at the expense of someone else or don't obviously harm someone else. And therefore, we view everything through that lens. So in previous videos, I spoke about authority. We view authority through that lens. Why should an authority try and control me? It's impeding my desires, my ability to express whatever it is I want to express. And another thing was with respect to dress codes and that kind of thing. I spoke about the fact I have to wear trousers. In the West, people will be like, why do I have to wear trousers? I can wear what I want, thank you very much. And the value comes at the individual being put above everything else. And if your own desires or expressions are undermined, then that's the supreme moral evil. And I think it means that it's very hard when you take individualism so radically in the West to even conceive of authority being a good thing as opposed to just a necessary evil. And the same goes for dress codes. Why should there be any dress code? Maybe in a professional setting, but apart from that, it just seems like why should we have these expectations on each other? And there's no capacity to even conceive of dress codes as being something other than restrictive and controlling and bad. And unless everyone agrees to it voluntarily, like, yeah, of course you're at a formal thing, why not, I'll dress up. But that's different to thinking, oh no, Chris, you need to wear trousers because, let's say, it's immodest to wear shorts or something. You see, I think those are two different things. One involves voluntary participation in a formal event or whatever it is with a dress code, it's fancy dress, whatever it is, and everyone's happy with that, versus the society thinking, even about me, like, Chris, why are you wearing shorts? Why are you showing so much leg? why are you doing that kind of thing? And from a Western perspective, they'd merely see that as, oh, that's just control and that kind of thing. The African perspective is different to other forms of communalism or communism or that kind of thing, but it is community oriented. And so it thinks first, but how is this affecting my family? And how is this affecting my community? And so one example is homelessness. If someone falls through the cracks in the West, we rely on the government to help out with that. Here, they don't have, the government doesn't have the resources to do that sort of thing. And so not only that, but also there's this family structure where if it's your cousin's cousin's cousin and they fall through the cracks, then people will expect you to look out for them. And not only that, but people, they're close. Like, everyone's an auntie, everyone's an uncle, everyone's a brother or a sister, even if they're second cousins. I've spoken to several people, even yesterday, whose parents are alive, but have lived with other individuals as if those other individuals are their parents, and have a very close relationship on that basis. And this is common. And I think I see this myself as a foreigner. I'm vividly aware of, like, the societal effort that it takes to welcome someone from the outside, like me and like some of the people I've met here. I've been welcomed by taxi drivers. I've been welcomed by people at church. I've been welcomed by people on the street. I've been welcomed by people, I think, in shops and stuff. Like there are all these layers to society that have given me a sense of belonging that I think is something that you are very unlikely to find in a culture which only values individual expression above all things and will say, I will applaud you even if you live your life in a way that is contradictory to how someone else lives their life and the two aren't compatible. Individualism says both of those approaches are fine, but when you go to the African approach, people obviously disagree. They obviously have problems, they have fights, but it's expected that you work it through. And if there's an outsider, it's not just like, oh, just shun them, like, and that's fine. It's expected that you acknowledge them. And by shun them, I mean even in that kind of British way of shunning, where you're not shunning, you're just not making eye contact, you're not engaging someone, you're not making an effort to welcome them. Even that is suspect here. Why aren't you not welcoming them? And I think for me, the reason I find this so challenging is because I'm seeing how happy people are here, and I'm seeing how difficult the power situation is here. I mean, look at me. I'm in the dark. I'm in a room, and I'm wealthy here, and other people, they don't. My gardener sometimes, even some of my colleagues, like they struggle because of the cost of living, and it does mean sometimes they don't know when their next meal is going to come, and they're happy. And I just think, how miserable would people be in the West if they were in this situation? And the cohesiveness of this society in the midst of what is the worst drought, and we're not going to have any power for October, and the circumstances are quite dire, and yet people laugh, like, so much. Like, positive people are the rule here. They're not the exception. Like in the West, if you're not cynical or, you're always ironic or whatever, that, that's almost the rule. And then you have that positive person and they're a bit annoying, they're the exception. Here, it's like, it's the rule. And it's the rule in circumstances where in the West, you'd feel it should be the exception. And it makes me think that there are other ways of doing culture and society in a more unified way and in a way that is more specific. And I'm not saying that African society is perfect, far from it. But I'm saying that the imperfections in this society are very different to the imperfections in Western society. And the contrast helps me see more where there are substantial positives in a society like this that we can learn from, that is unified, is more community-oriented, more family-oriented, less individualistic, and does have a specific moral system of right and wrong. Yeah, that can be quite instructive. So that's what I have to say. I don't know how controversial this is, but it's certainly how it's affected my thinking as a Westerner coming into this society. And I've appreciated it immensely. So I thought I'd just share some thoughts. Thanks for listening for this long if you have, and hope you have a lovely day. Bye.